Hey, friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a wonderful place to live. It is a gorgeous day here in Johnson City. I'm here with a friend of mine, Will Odom. Some people call him Wody.
Yep.
He is the executive director of East Tennessee Young Life and a husband, a handsome man, and just an all around good dude.
I'll accept all of that, Colin.
Okay.
Yeah, all of those, all of those positions I fulfill. Yeah.
Yes. So you have been in Johnson City for how long now?
We're finishing, I work with teenagers and college kids, so I always count years from summer to summer.
Okay.
So I'm coming
how
up
many
on
summers have you been?
Yeah. No, so I'm coming up on my fifth full
school
summer season. Yeah.
Well, this is Johnson City Living. So you've been living here for 5 years. You've seen a little change probably in it. But what do you love most about Johnson City and living here?
And, we came from Houston. I worked for Young Life in Houston for 5 years, and which is the third largest city in America.
It's pretty big.
Very different places. Yes, very. So it's been it. And we moved on purpose.
Yeah.
Like we chose
to
switch from that to
from big to small.
Yeah, for sure. And so it has delivered on what it is, which is a kind of, I don't know. I probably tell people like biggest little city in America, smallest big city in America. It's kind of right on that line where everybody expects you to know everybody, but you just
still don't know everybody.
Right. You're like, you'll go to like a Blue Plum Festival and be like, where are these people from?
Right. I'm with you. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And
I haven't seen you before.
Right. But I like it. There's one of everything, right? Like, you're not like in need. It's
right.
I
like
can go
people
to
go,
Buy.
hey, you got,
Best Buy.
Or they go, do you have a Costco? And I'm like, no, but we got a Sam's.
Exactly.
It's pretty much the same thing. We don't have both. We got one of everything.
We got one of everything.
Right.
And like 7 McDonald's.
Yeah.
But one of everything.
And a couple of Barbaritos.
Yeah. Hey, which is important. I would say Barbaritos. Best burrito in the
history of burritos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our friend, I need to get him on here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you're listening, Andy Oswald.
No. So I love living in Johnson City. It's the proximity to like nature, especially coming from Houston. Like when I lived in Houston,
it's just hot and flat.
Well, first of all, Houston is my favorite city in America. It's amazing. It's got that vibe.
We're going to be ending the podcast right now.
Yeah, right.
Johnson City Living. I'm just kidding.
It's got that vibe where it's like traffic. And you don't want to visit there, but everybody who lives there loves it.
Sure.
But I could drive from an hour from my house in any direction and not be out
of the city.
Yeah. So
here you drive an hour.
Absolutely.
You're in a whole other state.
Right. Like, I don't fly fish, but if I wanted to, I could be fishing in 15 minutes.
Right.
Or like
Brownie, unhook the boat. Let's go.
Talk about getting somebody on the podcast. Brownie Lyles, Watauga River Lodge.
That would be good.
Anyway,
I will get Brownie on. Add him to the list right now.
Add him to the list.
He's on the list.
And so he's the kind of guy that wants to be on podcasts.
He is a good guy for podcasts.
So anyway, Johnson City, the proximity to nature, and then just, I think with anything like Houston, the big city nature of it all was part of what was tough and part of what was awesome. And then Johnson City, kind of or maybe a smaller place, like it being small would be part of what makes it awesome and part of what makes it tough. And so Johnson City's kind of this mixture of those two things. We've loved it. Our kids love school here.
Tell me about your kids. How many do you have?
2. We have a complete set. Knox is a boy who's 9. Cabe is a girl who's 7. Yeah. And they go to Fairmont Elementary School, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like we love them being there. They love being there. They read so much.
That's great.
And they're not super bummed about it, which I'm like,
if you can teach reading to be
I
fun.
by far read the least in my household.
Yeah.
So
I'd say
I would rank it my wife, my daughter, my son, and
then you.
Yes.
Right. Maybe the dog even.
Well,
okay.
If we were to have one.
No dog. What's wrong with you? How come you don't have a dog?
We tried.
We're on here.
But listen, I'm not looking for bad press right now. So I'm not going to talk about how we tried to have a dog and no longer have a dog. And I know that people, that's an emotional thing for people.
It sounds like a good story. Did the dog just like?
I'm not going to talk about it, Colin.
All right.
People love dogs.
I love
And
dogs.
I
We've got
think
2.
they are good.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
My official statement
I
as
love
the area director of Young Life.
You love dogs.
Dogs are
just not at your house.
Dogs are good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like dogs.
Yeah,
They're
that's
good.
great.
I've got 2. We love them to death. They're like
People have them.
Right.
Feed them.
Yes. Enjoy them. Play with them. They're like kids. People have them.
As a person
who
works with kids,
right.
I would say we can't go there.
Okay.
The human kids are different than the dogs.
Okay, we're getting off topic. All right. So you are area director.
That's right.
Of Young Life.
Mm-hmm.
What areas do you direct?
So it's funny. The Young Life area that I'm the director of is called Upper East Tennessee Young Life. Now, there's Young Life more upper and eastern than us, which would be in Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just kind of the so there's Matt Richardson is the area director of Young Life in Bristol.
So you don't direct his area.
No,
he directs his area.
That's its own. I mean, he's a peer of mine. Like
gotcha.
And then Scotty Dancy runs Young Life in Kingsport.
Yep.
And then Upper East Tennessee, the reason we're not called Johnson City Young Life is kind of we fill in the gaps around the Tri-Cities. So
gotcha.
Like Washington, Carter, Unicoi County. So Young Life in Irwin, Young Life in Elizabethton, Young Life all around Washington County. That's in our that's in my Young Life area. And the reason for that is ETSU's in our Young Life area. So many like Emily who works with you, like we have we use volunteers from ETSU. So we just have that resource engine that
which is great.
Oh, it's amazing. So basically faithful young folks that go to ETSU and Northeast State and Milligan, they volunteer their time and then they make an impact on high school kids' lives, which is just it's super fun. So that's kind of how we're able to cover a lot of the like outside of the 3 major Tri-Cities areas here for Young Life.
Gotcha. For listeners who don't know what Young Life is, how did it get started?
Sure.
And tell us more.
So Young Life's 80 years old. It started in Gainesville, Texas. There was a seminary student named Jim Rayburn in Texas who basically like, I mean, he has famously said a lot of different things. A lot of people like Mike Yaconelli, he led maybe YWAM. Anyway, apologies to the
Mike
faith-based community out there who does, if I'm butchering that. But anyway, he said that Jim Rayburn was the kind of the founder of modern youth ministry. Like, hey, let's have some fun. And now you see churches everywhere. I mean, this is 80 years old. I'm not acting like I was around then. But like
you don't look 80.
No. But like let's engage kids in things that they're interested in.
Sure.
And then
kind of go to them too, right?
Because
you guys are in the schools, you're at their practices.
So famously, Jim Rayburn said, like, if you want teenagers to go to Sunday school, don't have it on a Sunday and don't call it school. Like, like, and so,
brilliant.
So anyway, yes, like high school. I don't know how much of a history lesson we want. High school became mandatory in the 1920s, and the center of a lot of communities shifted to the high school, like from when you're having a big community meeting, that's now happening at the high school, around the high school, whereas before that it was happening at the church and in kind of different parts of the community. So that was in the 1920s. So by the 40s it was kind of like, okay, well, that's the center of the community, like is the high school. So what if we made so Young Life's kind of vision there in the 40s was what if we didn't force the home court to be our home court? What if we went to them? And so, like you said, like a lot of my time spent at high school baseball games or at Barbaritos with high school students or around ETSU's campus with some of our volunteers and alumni that I know over there, kind of going on walks, meeting them where they are. And so that's the vision of Young Life. We fill up a little niche in the kind of the Christian world. And
what's the goal? Like,
yeah, so the mission statement of Young Life is to introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. So it's singularly focused. It's non-denominational. Most churches, would look at our statement of faith and say, yeah, like we're, so it's not, it's it's pretty ecumenical, to borrow a term. So yeah, we are there to meet, befriend high school kids and share an opportunity to consider the Christian faith with them in a
Yeah.
no pressure, low pressure environment. So
Did you come to faith through Young Life?
yeah, I would say I started. Yes, I started walking with God through Young Life after my freshman year of high school at Young Life camp.
Is this at Houston? In Houston?
No,
Where'd
no,
you
I'm
grow
an
up?
East Tennessee guy. So like, I was born in Knoxville. We moved to Asheville, North Carolina for middle school and high school.
Okay.
And then I went back to the University of Tennessee. And at the same year, my parents moved back to Knoxville. So
Oh,
Knoxville area is
when
home.
did you graduate
Graduate.
from UT? Did you go to UT?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
2008.
8.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, big time. Eric Ainge era.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, good times.
Yes.
So yeah, went to Tennessee, and then I worked for Young Life there for a few years, and then so the big crazy move was moving to Houston,
Okay.
not moving to Johnson City.
Gotcha.
It kind of fit.
Yeah. A little bigger than Knoxville, Houston.
Sorry, I'm not used to microphones.
No, you're good. You're doing great. Okay, so did you go to seminary as well, or just
No, I came right from college to
right into?
Colin. I've got something in my throat.
Well, you can have a sip of my coffee.
Great. No, I went straight on to Young Life staff from college,
Mm-hmm.
and have
You meant
I've been working for Young Life since.
Okay. Well, so as a leader of that organization, sorry, you're getting some water here.
I've got a thing in my throat.
It could be part of that huge, massive beard you got. It's just
Yeah,
like
they
folded up in there and it's
things
tickling
just
your
kinda-
throat down there.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay. So, what did you get your degree in from UT?
Psychology.
Okay, so that fits.
The human brain.
There you go. So that works. I was
So
going to say, how did you
psychology-
come into Young Life and then say, I want this?
Yeah,
I want to be an area leader.
I wish I had paid more attention. And then I also studied. It was kind of a dual thing: psychology and creative writing. And I volunteered for Young Life through my time in college.
Yeah.
So that was really like just the experience of it. Kind of if you think about, I don't know, Christian faith, like it's just been word of mouth for 2,000 years.
Yeah, it's been working.
So like that, you just, and really just life in general, like
Mhm.
we're all looking to somebody older than us,
Mhm.
and we need kind of different stages of that.
Sure.
Like I need somebody just a few years older than me,
Right.
and I need somebody that's a lot of years older than
Yeah.
me to mentor me, follow me, ask questions of, correct me,
Right.
like, hey, well, it's not working.
Right.
Like
Let's try a different direction.
And so when I was in college, I had relationships with high schoolers that are just a few years younger than me, and I loved it, and it was life-giving, fulfilling. So it was probably less my studies in college and more my experience of college, of that season of it was just good. So you kind of just end up where you are, and this kind of I think I don't know, maybe right out of college I was like, yeah, this is what I'll do for a little bit, and now it's like I think this is what I do. Like that, I've been at this for a while and don't see any change in how I feel about it or how I feel called to it. And so, yeah,
you just feel like you're exactly where the Lord needs you to be.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I would agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, right now, and we'll see.
But he may call you to
We'll see.
do something different, which is
Sure.
kind of cool, right?
Right.
I mean, if you trust him with your life and you're like, okay, you just send me wherever you need me to go and I'm going to go. It's probably pretty freeing and pretty exciting. That's what I'm trying to teach my boys. Like,
Yeah,
you
there you
don't
go.
know what you're going to be,
Yeah, there you go.
but there's somebody who does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in retrospect, you kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like in the
Oh
moment,
yeah, it
you're
worked
like,
out.
"What
Right.
is
You look
going-"
back and you're like, oh, well, I made that turn and this
Right,
because
right.
somebody was,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, even though I screwed it up, he he rectified it and made it okay. So tell me about leading a bunch of college kids. Is and in this era you hear, oh, the millennial generation and da da da, like
Sure.
there's a lot of interesting talk around that. I don't want to say negative, but
Sure. Well,
it's
and
just
even
different.
like high
I mean,
school,
everybody's different.
yeah, right. And high school and college would probably even at this point be called Generation Z.
Z, yeah, sorry.
So, but I I don't know. Like, I get it. Like, I get the like, oh man, that's not like us,
Yeah,
but like, how long has that been going on? Like
forever.
the younger generation.
Right.
And so I think a place to start, especially if you want to care, right?
Mm.
Right. Like, if you want to impact the next generation, is a place to start is by appreciating what's great about them.
Mhm.
Like, I
Mhm.
mean, they're able to do things and think in ways that I'm not able to, that my parents weren't able to.
Right.
There is so much to learn from. Okay, like, do we just want to be the same people like forever?
Yeah.
Like, do we
No.
want to,
Right. Right. We got to
or
be continually
right? And so, like,
innovating and changing
they're
and growing.
growing up in a total, like, I mean, I got my first cell phone at 18. It was a Nokia.
Yep, I had
Like,
that. You could play Snake on it.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, which, by the way,
There's an app now, I think.
no, I don't want that.
Uh,
I'm
you want the
after
old.
I will
You
go on
want to
eBay
hit
after this and get a Nokia just for
2
Snake.
and
Yeah,
4 and
right. No, so I mean, and the impact of that, like, my first smartphone was probably after college. The impact of that, I mean, obviously books are being written about it now. It is, the impact of that is unbelievable.
the smartphone.
To grow up with one,
Right.
right? Like, to your formative years,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
as your brain turns from Jello to slightly harder Jello,
Right.
like, which is teenagers, like, I mean, as it's coming together for
Yeah.
you, you have a different. You're just growing up in a different, with a different thing, different
Yeah.
access, and so, I mean, is it, so to think that we wouldn't, that a generation that grows up with that kind of access wouldn't be different than a generation that did not grow up with that kind of access.
Right.
Like, so, but to appreciate, like, okay, this is what's different. And then to say, to still be the older generation or older people saying, "Hey, have you thought about this, or
Right.
how much you've looked at that thing?"
Yeah.
Or, like, I mean,
Like
at
if I take it away, you feel a little weird,
right, which,
Right.
like, we all,
Yeah.
I do now, and I
Can I have
didn't.
your phone, Will? No, you can't.
Colin,
Colin,
no,
I got limits.
that's right.
Dogs
So,
and phones. I'm not.
right, pro phone, and also, dogs are good.
Dogs are good.
Yes, just officially in public. I'm
We
saying
will
that
tweet that out. Area
officially.
director says dogs are good.
Right. So I really like them. I understand the, like, grumpy older generation that wonders,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, I think
they're
it's just because we were trying to figure them out. So I'm moving towards 50
yeah,
pretty soon, and yeah, I mean, you want to understand
right,
how to. I love people, and I'm like you. I'm a people person, and
right.
you're very. I mean, I see you as being just an unbelievable people guy.
Well, so, like,
So
down
how
the
do you
street,
relate to people?
like, at Reclaimed Inspired Goods, I think that's
Yes.
the,
Hmm.
which is a beautiful,
It
beautiful little
is.
store here in the heart of
Yes.
Johnson City.
Yes.
Um,
We should.
no, but on the outside window, I drove by it the other day, and I think it said, they had like a little quote or something that said, "It's hard to hate people from up close."
It is.
And also, I did in Young Life we kind of do seminary on the go. Like, I
Hmm.
came, but anyway, I had a class that was where I guess the professor or leader, he was a guy from NASA.
Mm.
Anyway, that's way too long of a story. But he talked about, like, we don't respect each other. He was talking about divisions in our country,
Mm.
divisions in our world. We don't respect each other because we don't know each other. It's
Right.
just really hard to hate somebody from up close.
Sure.
So, in general, anybody grumpy about a younger generation, I'm like, how 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 well do you really know somebody from that
Right.
generation? Like,
And you can't know a generation. I mean, it's made up of
right, totally.
individuals.
Like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
like, totally. Like, how well, and not just like, well, no, it's my grandson. It's
Right.
like, yeah, but like, how
Well, do you
how
know
well do
him?
you know him? I
Right.
mean, really, like, what makes him, what he likes, what makes him tick? I mean,
Sure.
I think, and this is just, this is just a people thing. Like, if you just really want somebody to come alive, like, there's a high school kid that loves guitar, and it's like,
Hmm.
I'll meet you at Guitar Center, and I'm going to ask you every question about this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like they will come to life. Or,
Sure.
a high schooler or college guy that it super loves lifting weights. It's like, well, tell me everything. Like,
Right.
tell me. I mean, I'm not gonna.
I'll just watch.
Right? No, well, not why even watch. You're just going to talk to me about like, but it's like,
Right.
oh, why would you?
Why
What?
would,
Tell me
yeah.
about push
Why are
day.
supersets and
Yeah,
yeah,
like
what are you eating?
talk to me
Right.
about progressive overload.
Right.
You know, and they're
I
like,
don't.
oh, well, let me tell you.
Oh,
But it's like getting to know, caring about what somebody cares
right.
about,
And going
and
deep.
going to their stuff.
Hmm.
Like if you want to make an indelible impact on like a high school person at this point, like go to a golf match.
Hmm.
Like how many people go view that? Nobody. Their parents.
I'm a
Yeah,
parent. I
yeah,
go. Yeah.
yes, and like there's not like a gallery,
There's not. They're
right?
like a
So
bunch of parents.
go to a cross country meet and
Parent
say,
hangout,
"I'm here to watch you." That's like so cool
and
that
they're
you do
like,
this,
"You really?"
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we don't respect each other because we don't know each other, and that goes oh as deep as you want that to go. Like,
Yeah.
okay, if we really want to reach out, if we really want to make a difference, if we really want to care about somebody, like, or care about a group of people, do you
Hmm.
know anybody like that? So for older folks, I mean, who are, if you hear yourself like, well, man, if
Yeah. These
we're
kids these days, I
oh
just
man,
say
it's gonna fall apart.
it's yeah.
It's like,
We're in
okay,
trouble.
okay,
We're yeah.
I bet not,
Right.
but and also like, sit down with one.
Sure.
They're great.
Sure. What kind of uh time investment do your leaders spend with these kids?
Yeah,
Because
I
like
mean,
as a
you know,
somebody who's saying, "Hey, I want to get to know somebody."
yeah, we have it written down somewhere, but
I mean, ballpark.
somewhere around 15 hours a week.
Okay.
I mean, you don't show up in somebody's life once every other month and
Right.
really. I mean, no, and you could, if that's what you have, like give it, like show up
Or
in somebody's life every.
that's why great
But
Aunt Sally's, not connected.
totally.
Yeah.
So like, but you need to be consistent.
Hmm.
Like, hey, I'm a part of the. We talk about like as a community member, forget about
Yeah.
my job. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the fabric of the community.
Sure.
Like, hey, if this community is all at, like right now, the Science Hill baseball team is on a playoff run, and it's like, if you want to be part of the community, like, come watch some baseball.
See, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, like so, and that it's just fun to go to those
They
games,
may have
and
won the state championship by the
right,
time this drops.
for sure. So I just want to be part of the furniture.
Yeah.
Like I'm here. Like I'm at the games. It kind of doesn't have to do with my
Yeah.
job. I mean, it ultimately it does. Like
Right.
that's
It
what I
all
want to do. I want to be,
filters in. Yeah.
but like I just want to be here. So consistency in really anything.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to make an impact in somebody's life, like I mean, it's the same with just friendship.
Yeah.
Like I mean, yeah, you gotta be around.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so I think it's awesome. I think our college leaders, specifically, and we have leaders in college for sure, but that
How
are older
many
than that.
how many leaders are there? Group leaders.
We talking pre-COVID? I'm just kidding. No, yeah, like 45, 50.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And
I mean,
then
and that's a large portion.
and that's
Of it.
across all the schools that you oversee, right?
Right.
All the
So
programs.
that's we are in 7, going on 8, kind of different little programs
Yeah.
involved with kids at different schools. So
Now, do you have a like a metric on goal set? Like, hey, we'd like to grow like our organization to
sure.
have impact 1,000 kids. I don't know
Yeah,
how
right.
many you
Like
feel like you're hitting currently.
yeah, we do that. Like we and it's a little tough, like it's one of those things where how do you quantify impact in kids,
Yeah.
like I mean,
Right.
what's that's like on holiday cards, it's like if you want to change the world, I don't know.
Look in the mirror.
If you
Something like that.
if you want to be in the world, I don't know what the quote is, but it's like be the world to one person.
Right. Do for one.
Hallmark.
Homework.
Available at Reclaimed Inspired Goods in the heart of Johnson. I'm just kidding. So
Woody cards coming to a store near
that's
you.
right. Dogs are good. So I mean, so like, how do you quantify that kind of stuff? Especially, the audacious claim that my Christian faith says that like that makes a difference forever, right? So
Well, like,
I
yeah, I go back to Jesus said one thing before he left was go make disciples, right? And
sure.
so
So it's like, I mean, at what rate,
he
Jesus?
didn't.
But anyway, no,
He started with
I
12.
think we know 1,000 kids in this area
Yeah.
by name.
Okay.
So like we have those metrics. We take about 300 kids to a weekend camp every
Yeah.
fall. Again, we didn't this past fall, but
Yeah.
like we're, I mean, poised to do it this coming fall. And So, but again, like some of those kids are like, you know what they needed was to go on a weekend camp, and we see them about once a year.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of kids that are part of that are like, man, I hang out with that guy twice a week,
Yeah.
and that's just one of the 50 leaders
Right.
in myself.
Right.
Like, so,
What do you see? Is there a difference between those two kids? Like, what do you see is maybe like a home life situation where that kid's looking for somebody to really pour into his life the two time a week, where the one kid
yeah, no, I mean, I
is
think
there
it's just
something?
like we all like grow. I think we all just kind of grow at the rate we grow. Like,
Hmm.
in especially when, you know, especially, and there are kids that we are involved with that have us like way different views of
Hmm.
organized religion. Even like,
Hmm.
oh man, I grew up in a church and that was a great experience for me. Or like, I grew up in church and that was not a great experience for
Right.
whatever reason. And it's
Whatever.
probably
Right.
nobody's fault. But like, and so, there as many kids as that's kind of why I'm, we know 1,000 kids by name, but let me tell you about those kids. There's 1,000 of them.
Right.
Like, there's just everybody is developed. Every human person spends as many seconds living as you and I do. Like,
Hmm.
as they have as many weird encounters with family at
Hmm.
holidays as you and I
Yeah.
do. Like,
I don't know. I've
so
got a lot of them.
no, no, no. Everybody thinks
Okay.
that they're in the lead,
Oh,
but it's like,
well, that's good to know.
yeah, no, but no. Honest to goodness, we're all leaving those things scratching our heads. But I just, yeah, like there's no telltale sign of. I mean, I think that I do think an older, dependable person is super great to make available to kids of any age. Like, I think they say adolescence now goes from like 6 to 50.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I mean, adolescence has
That's a
grown.
big,
Like,
yeah.
no, no, not
Is that
50,
because the
but
human brain's not
it's
formed
it
until you're 60?
mine is just coming into like,
We have a friend, he says 28. The
yeah,
frontal lobe
it's
is not
here.
fully
We're
developed
here.
until
Yes.
28,
Yeah.
and so you're
No,
coming
and
into there. You're
no,
just now 28 yourself, right?
no, I'll claim every one of my 35 years.
Attaboy.
No, but will I just feel like yeah, you don't look at a kid and go, "Oh, they've got the picture perfect family. I bet
Right.
they're all over it." It's like, "Oh no, they really could use something like Young Life or
Sure.
like many other great things in town that just need a listening ear that
Yeah.
isn't connected to um that isn't connected to other things that kind of put there's
Hmm.
strings attached. So but then you might look at someone that has some predictable story that's like, no, I think they're really like on top of just figuring out life, and
Yeah.
they're plugged into a church or they're plugged into something else, so they don't necessarily, and they'll come to a
Right.
fun weekend that Young Life's throwing.
Sure.
So yeah, so and I think all that's great. Like like a kid that engages with us once a year, twice a year, that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's great. Like whatever, however we
However, you
can
can
serve.
impact
Yeah,
them.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
How do you, like, I feel like our school system is very anti-Christian potentially. And so how do you guys come alongside those kids and go, okay, well, you may be hearing this over here, but this is kind of what we believe. I mean, is
Well,
that
I think like, I mean, it's and it a lot of school, um, like, I mean, it's not necessarily their job to be Christian at all.
true?
So like, I never feel uncomfortable being a community member that is Christian
Yeah.
and wants to live that part of my life out for sure. Like, I think that, and I also sincerely believe that like faith, happens um, in each individual life, and it happens best in a no pressure situation. Like, in some ways, you'll go to a place that feels less Christian,
Right.
and but then, gosh, those that have faith, it feels like such a sincere faith. They really had to pick it.
Right.
It was not socially advantageous
Sure.
to be Christian
Yeah.
where they live or whatever they do. So, in some ways, being in settings that feel like, hey, yeah, like we're all Christian, right? It's like, okay, well,
And yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, how do you,
for sure.
yeah,
No,
because
no, I
I
think
feel
that
like there's a lot of training going against,
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that
what you and I believe.
sure. Well, and I'll say that the as far as school teaching, like I I think it's about personal faith.
Yeah.
And so I think that that can flourish in those
Mhm.
settings.
Mhm.
Like in the set, I mean, my belief system would say that if it's true, then God set it forth in that way.
Mhm.
So like go look,
Mhm.
go ask big questions,
Mhm.
um go wonder out loud. And so I think that I think there are, and it's kind of like the whole you can't look at a whole generation that a generation's not doing something to you.
Right.
There are individuals that make that up. So
Correct.
I mean, school, like there's awesome folks all over the school
Oh yeah.
system that have faith and
Sure.
that are
Yeah.
doing awesome stuff. So I think that all of I mean they're engaging and they're developing the mind so that they can so that folks can make decisions for themselves, which is so great. So yeah, I don't know, like uh nothing's new under the sun,
Yeah.
like
That's true.
I think that I think that the Johnson City, especially Johnson City schools, like I love it.
Yeah.
I love the system and I
We
love
have an
what they're doing.
amazing school
Oh
system
my
here.
gosh.
Everybody who moves here is like, this is fantastic. Thank
Oh,
you
it's
for
super cool.
yeah.
Like the whole like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade thing, that's a little strange and you
They're
got to get
working it
used to
out.
it. But I think my son will be the first one that's like that he'll be the first grade. I think it might have all been affected by the pandemic, but I think I saw an article that's like he'll be the first like, okay, you're sixth, seventh, and eighth grade at
Right.
Indian Trail.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah. We just had James Jacobs on here a couple weeks ago.
Oh, James Jacobs.
I love James
I don't
Jacobs.
know him,
You
but
don't know James
no.
Jacobs?
I'm so sorry.
He is the he's the principal of Indian Trail. Awesome.
Can't
Awesome
wait
guy.
to know him. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Miss McGill is our principal now at Fairmont, and it'll be hard to say goodbye.
Yeah.
She's just the bomb. She's awesome.
Reminds me of a Boyz II Men song. Um, so let's talk about like, okay, so hopefully there's some parents listening. What would be some good advice to have, to say, okay, this is something to lead your child,
Right.
because your job is leading kids to
I
Christ.
think, like I was talking about phones and devices
Yeah,
earlier and stuff.
yeah.
I and this is one man's opinion.
Well,
This is not
that's
an official.
you're the only guy here with me right now.
Whereas it is Young Life's official stance that dogs are good.
Gotcha.
This is just one Will Odom's personal opinion.
this is not a Young
Totally.
Life
I just
sanctioned.
think like, listen, your kids are smarter than you when
Right.
it comes to all the like the device stuff. I mean, I think it's
They
good.
are super smart.
I think it's good to be smart and prudent with whatever. Well, all the things out there, the filters and the blockers and the boundaries and all that stuff. And I really do think it's good to be prudent. Also, they're like smarter than you, and that like I think conversations with your
Mm-hmm.
children about all of the dangers of connectedness
Mm-hmm.
is way like
Way
here's
better
why
than a
you
filter.
might not post
Yeah.
something like that
Right.
in this world.
Yeah.
And it actually doesn't have to do with people's perceptions of our family, dadgummit.
Right.
It has to do with like this might be why you think about that.
Yeah.
And that conversation, in my opinion, is treating you talk about the generational gaps, like a generation that wants to be treated as like, hey, I'm smart enough. I'm smart.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know you're smart. Well, so let's have this smart
Yeah.
conversation about why you would. So, I mean, again, filters, blocks, whatever. Like, there's a lot of conversation about that. Like, when do we let them? When don't we let them? And again, I'm gonna have teenagers, and
It's going to
I
happen.
know a lot.
Right.
Like so, I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
And you might think you have it figured out, and they're going to totally
I know I
surprise
don't.
you.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like so. But I will say, like, don't be the first, don't be the last. Like, hey, when do we get our kid a phone? I would just say in general, don't be the first, don't be the last.
Right. Like 3, 4 years old's a little young.
Too soon.
A little too soon.
Too soon.
Baby 25 is a little late.
A little late.
A little late.
Little late. So
the wisdom that's coming out of me right now.
I think that I really do think that. So that's one of my things is like conversations with your kids. And it's funny, it's maybe not funny, but peculiar how like the people closest to us, it can be the hardest to have those bold conversations.
Yeah, because you're worried, I think, about that tension. Like, ooh, if I upset them, then there's going to be friction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when in doubt, have the conversation, move toward the tension,
Right. And it's
I
never gonna be it's never gonna go as bad as you think it's
I
gonna go.
listen, anything I want my son to learn, I want him to learn it from me. I mean, that's just kind of like how it's like, hey, let's talk about our method. We watch Survivor with our kids, and
Yeah,
we
we
just
watched Survivor, yeah.
well, I'm telling you, it's basically the talk in 40 seasons. You're like something happens, you pause and you're like, all right, this is what that meant.
Right.
Like that, don't say that.
Gotcha.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, really,
We watched it during quarantine.
I want them to learn the things from me, and I want to have the conversation. I want our kids to, okay, something happened at school. Who do I ask about it? Oh yeah, slam dunk. Every
Mhm.
conversation I've had with my mom and dad about that, those kind of things have been like, I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'd say to parents. As a guy who has not had a teenage child,
Yet.
I hang out with
That's your
teenagers.
own, right.
That's my own. Yeah.
You got a lot of kids. 1,000 of them,
That's right.
sort of.
And yeah, yes, in some ways.
Cool. What do you see for the future of Young Life in the next 5 years, 10 years?
It's kind of one of those things where you do want to.
You gonna be here in 5 years?
What's that? Is this a contractual thing right now?
Yes.
Yes,
Are
absolutely.
you on?
My
Yeah.
official
Okay.
statement is I'll be here forever.
And I love dogs.
That's
Dogs
right.
are good.
Dogs are good. Don't want you to go too far.
Gotcha.
So
Sorry.
it's kind of one of those things you do want to plan ahead, and also there are a fourth of high schoolers every year are brand new. So like when you're in every year, a fourth of high schoolers are brand new.
Except for next year, there's going to be 2 of them. There's going to because a lot of high schools weren't there this past year.
That's right. So you do
you'll
want
get a half of them are new next
like we
year.
want to plan and
They're still there.
grow. Like
Right.
this fall, we are poised to start Young Life at Providence Academy,
Yeah.
which is super fun. And we do want to grow and look ahead for sure. But also every year, our goal is to meet and engage a whole new class of
Right.
freshmen and start building relationships so that that's kind of like how I see it is like I try to build friendships with younger high schoolers
Mhm.
so that when high school gets really hard, it's sophomore year, junior year, and senior year,
Yeah.
we have a relationship where they might feel comfortable talking about life, talking about some of those struggles. So yeah, I mean, we grow for sure, we progress, but I think slowly because my heart is for the high school kids that I know,
Yeah.
and they'll graduate and there'll be new ones to get to know the next year. So
Yeah.
I think Young Life here, I want to, we have, I mean, there's a little bit of like, okay, next fall, like
It's
are we rebuilding a little bit? A little
like we're
bit,
going to have to
like,
figure it out.
yeah,
It's
like
a little different.
we haven't been to our typical, like we go to camps and stuff. We
Yeah.
haven't been lately. We went for 8 hours in the fall to one of our Young Life camps. We're lucky enough to be pretty close to one of them,
Yeah.
and because of stuff, and so as that starts to change, I mean, I think there's going to be challenges to be like, okay, where were we? Where do we? Are we still there? Do
Yeah.
we? Like
Can we go over there?
it's
Yeah.
been I've kept up with a lot of teenagers, but every once in a while I'll run into one now, like oh my gosh, it's been a year. How you
Right.
doing?
How you doing?
How was the pandemic for you?
Right. Look
Like
at you. You grew up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it'll be a fun, challenging fall, and try to uh, build momentum back in a lot of our programs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Now you guys have an endowment that just allows you to just have tons of money all the time, right? Is that right?
yeah, well, no, it's more just briefcases of cash that I
Just large
drive
store
around in my
cash.
Maserati. The
That's what I figured. I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, because I mean, you're asking. I'm kidding, totally. So you
no,
guys are totally, funded by donations, right?
like it's not lost on me. I make a living on excess tithes and offerings, and that I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah.
Like to be able to I believe in what we're doing. I believe in the impact, but it's also just like, man, it. I'm just grateful that people give, and I would say, we have some corporate sponsors which are great. And there's a couple churches in town that
Hmm.
financially support us, but probably 90% of our support is just individuals in
Individuals,
town.
yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Like Young Life's been here for 50 years.
Hmm.
This coming fall, 50
That's
years.
cool.
And I mean, if you drive around like Johnson's, you'll see the signs. Johnson City's been here for 150 years. It's
Yeah.
like a third of the time and I've only been here for 5, but like a third of the time that Johnson City's been here, Young Life's been a part of it,
Yeah.
which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And so and for 50 years it's been, and do we have like a big stack of cash anywhere? No, because as soon as we receive a donation, it's like, okay, is there another person we can send into this part of
How do we
accounting
further the kingdom with
yeah,
this?
for sure. And,
Yeah.
and so there's this balance of like trust and faith and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then prudence. And so yeah, we have a couple fundraising events every year, and it's been awesome. Like
Yeah.
it's been awesome to watch the ministry be provided for. It's great.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It is very cool. Somebody on this podcast or listening may not know who Jesus is.
hmm
Do you want to tell them who Jesus is and what he's
I
done
think
for you in your life? Or?
sure. I think to look for yourself. I bet he's not this. I think it maybe if you don't know Jesus, which is at the heart of the Christian faith, like you might be surprised.
Mm.
So like if you have an old dusty Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are the 4 biographies of Jesus, is not weird if you need to use the table of contents to find them. They're near the middle. And I mean, he's different than you think. I bet.
Yeah.
And I would say go digging and exploring for yourself.
Yeah.
It's so anyway, that's certainly I would say my faith has been the milestones and signposts in my life that I look back and I'm like, how did I get here?
Right.
Where did that good thing come from? Golly. Okay. Man, it's been great.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I would say is I bet he's different, especially especially if you have a bad taste in your mouth about the Christian faith. Wait, first of all, I'm sorry that you have that.
Yeah, for sure.
That shouldn't be that way.
Nope.
But I understand, and I bet the center of that, the center of our Christian faith, if you have a bad taste in it, again, that's a super huge bummer, and that shouldn't have been that way. Yeah. But I bet the center of our faith is different than you think.
Yeah.
He was very, very I mean, the people he was hardest on were the overly religious rule followers. Sure. Honestly. Like and then the folks that needed love and help, he was so kind and gentle with and welcoming to. So anyway.
Kind of the way we need to be.
Would love to be.
Yeah, would love to be. Every day it's a struggle. But we're working hard to get there.
There you go.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Johnson City living. Love this town.
Yeah. Oh, one more. What's your favorite donut in town? Like if you're going to eat a donut, where are you going?
If I'm going to eat a donut, that sounds
what
like...
kind is it and where's it coming from?
Early COVID.
Yeah.
There were a lot of them. Annie... Oh, golly.
Annie Roos?
Annie Roos. Is that Johnson City or is that Greenville?
No, that counts.
I mean, that's a good donut.
That thing's legit. Like you put that in your hand, you're like, that's a pound.
3.5 pounds.
It's a yeah.
I mean, Annie. And then the apple fritter from Peggy Ann's is good. It's good.
I haven't had the apple fritter. I've had a number of things from there, but that'll only give me another reason to go over there. And now my other friend says the Oreo roll is like world famous for
That's right. And then have you been to Everyone's Pizza yet?
No.
Oh,
where's that at?
It's like on the interstate, which is a weird place for a restaurant.
Where's your restaurant? It's on the interstate. It's in the middle.
It's over there near like Watauga, Unaka, where they go into the interstate.
Yeah.
Which we live on Unaka.
Yeah.
At an undisclosed address.
Right.
I'm not trying to get that kind of heat. Yeah.
All the kids are gonna roll
Everyone's Pizza. They're brand new and like they're from town, but they open this and this is a good pizza town.
Okay.
Johnson.
I would agree 100%.
It is very good.
What makes it very good?
I mean, I think he came from the guy that runs it. I know Caitlin is his fiance.
Is it like
Tommy?
Tommy and Caitlin?
Anyway,
is it like a sauce thing? Is it the crust?
It tastes very good.
Well, that's probably the best thing about.
What do you like about that food? When I put it in my mouth, it tastes so good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think he studied like the culinary stuff up in Chicago.
Nice.
And then brought it home.
Got some kind of cool combinations of stuff, flavors.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you hear? I hadn't even heard of it.
Have you been to Project Barbecue?
Yes.
Okay, that's very good.
That's really good too.
I tell my wife we're in the middle of a Johnson City food renaissance. We already had great stuff.
We do.
we've had great
Yeah.
stuff since I've lived here.
However,
And now there's these new
is Everybody's Pizza
Everyone's
everyone?
Pizza.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not for the everybody's out there. You
Yes.
can start your own
It's
pizza
not
company.
a paid advertisement. I'm
So
not
for
on the
everyone's, is it a food truck or is it?
No,
It's an
it's a
actual establishment,
brick and mortar.
brick and mortar. It's got a roof and you can go
Yeah,
inside.
I think it's 3 to 9 p.m. like Tuesdays to Sundays. Anyway, these are just nuggets. This
I love
isn't
it. These are some things. So
I'm
we're
not
going to put a
reading an
link
ad.
down below about everyone's pizza, not everybody's.
No.
And I'm excited about it. I'm going to go check it out.
You
Okay,
gotta
well, that's
go.
good info.
Alrighty.
If anybody wants to connect with you, Will, how do we get a hold of you?
How do you get a hold of me?
Just put your cell phone out there. And
Yeah, no, that's right. No, you
Just
can email
kidding.
me. My name is Wilson, not Will. WilsonOdom@gmail.com.
Wilson.
Well, I think we have a Young Life area email,
Yeah,
but do I know that
probably
email?
not. Are you on the Facebook?
I'm not.
That's old school, isn't it?
Oh no, I just think real life, face to face kind of guy. But anyway, no, I would love if anybody's wants to get involved, plugged in, come to a Young Life banquet, whatever, just holler at me. Wilson Odom.
Wilson Odom.
ODOM.
Or you
at
can holler at
gmail.com.
me. I'll hook you up with Will.
Colin knows me.
Yeah. And if you're looking to move to the area and get involved with Young Life, we'd love to help. I'd love to help you buy a house here, sell a house here, invest in real estate here, and get involved with Young Life and help promote that. And so if you're out there and you want to get involved, holler at us. We'd love to have you. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Will.
My
It's
pleasure. Super fun.
I'm glad we were also on video
I didn't know
as
that.
you had asked specifically.
I've got a face for radio, Colin.
I do too.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't even think I have a voice either. So at least you've got it all going. And so thank you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. And until next time.